Good morning. I'll call the meeting to order. Just a reminder, today's meeting is being recorded. Please remember to speak directly into your microphone so everyone in the room can hear you and so we can capture your statements on the recording as well. Ashley, will you call the roll, please?
Worth.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Roseth. Roseth.
Yep, here.
Ransom.
All right, so we do have 3 out of our 4 members present, 2 in person, 1 virtual, so we do have a quorum. Kelsey, this is your first meeting since your appointment, if I understand correctly. So I thought at least the 3 of us could just maybe share quickly, and for maybe others in the room, just who we are and maybe what we do when we're not part of the commission here, or during our regular days. So I'll start. My name is Scott Worth. I am the Vice President of Human Resources for Roar's Development, Construction, and Property Management. That's my daytime job.
I am Anne Marie Campbell. I am the Chief Communications Officer of Fargo Public Schools.
Kelsey?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kelsey Roseth, and I am the founder of Curo Creative. We're a marketing and advertising agency.
All right, thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Say nay. Motion carried. The agenda is approved. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes, the meeting minutes from September 12th, 2023, as presented.
I move to approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2023 minutes as presented.
Do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion on the meeting minutes from September 12th of 2023? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Annually, we accept nominations for the chair and vice chair positions of the Civil Service Commission. So at this time, I would entertain nominations for the chair position.
I nominate Scott Worth for the position of Chair of the Civil Service Commission for the ensuing year.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Kelsey. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Worth.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Roseth.
Aye.
Ransom.
All right. I would entertain nominations for the vice chair position, and I would nominate Campbell. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second that.
All right. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Worth.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Roseth.
Aye.
Ransom.
Aye.
Barb's on. Oh. Barb, welcome, Barb. All right.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
I just said welcome, Barb.
Okay. I've been having trouble with my phone. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm glad you could join us. We'll proceed forward with the other business agenda items. So next would be the Human Resources update.
Thank you and good morning. We appreciate your time this morning for our annual meeting and have a lot of good information for you. Since we don't see each other often, we wanted to really give you a high-level update of what we've been up to on the HR team. So some of the key topics that we're going to discuss today are our major initiatives and projects. We have our employee engagement initiative that was launched just last year, so we're excited to tell you more about that. Our Perform is our performance management platform that, again, was just implemented this past year, so more to come on that. Transit onboarding at the end of 2025 and into very early 26, we brought on just under 100 employees. You'll hear the specifics in just a minute. So when you see the bus drivers and some of the employees that were previously contract employees, they are now City of Fargo employees. We have an update on some of our technology projects, Tyler and the UKG project that we're excited to be working on. Some highlights on our health insurance changes and options that we are providing. EHS Insight is an illness and injury tracking platform, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. And then an update on our training program and the good things happening there. So on this slide, you see the current members of the HR team. We have a really talented, experienced team, and I'm proud to say I get to lead this group. A couple of changes that are going to be happening in the very near future. Beth is in March going to be joining the City of West Fargo as their Director of Human Resources. So while we're sad to see her go for sure from our team, very excited for her, and the City of West Fargo is gaining a great HR director. Another change that I want to note, Ashley is being promoted to a human resources manager, and that will be effective mid-March. And then we also have an external candidate who will be joining us mid-March as well in the HR manager role. Just one other thing I want to note too, Ryan, our safety and wellness manager, is actually at a conference this week, so he's not here. I'm going to present some of the information that he has provided. So I've asked the team to do a more complete introduction of themselves when they get up to talk about their focus area and their topics. There are 11 of us who are full-time, and then 2 of us who are in a temporary variable, so working under 20 hours each week. And before we really get started on the other topics, I just wanted to give you all an idea of our overall size of our workforce through looking at a 5-year range of our employee count. So you can see all of our full-time and our full-time 30 to 39, our part-time 20 to 29. Those groups represent our regular positions. Then we have our contract positions, and then our temporary and seasonal. That is such a large number, primarily because we have the Fargo Dome, the event staff, all of the temporary variable staff there really makes up a large portion of that temp seasonal number. But of course, we have other temporary employees throughout the city, and then seasonally are hiring temporary employees as well, whether it's summer and mowing and work that needs to be done in that season or over the winter season. So you can see over this time, just this 5-year period, we've grown, just looking at our regular positions, we've grown by about 146 positions. Primarily, those have been in our public safety, so police, fire departments, and then transit. We had a big change end of last year, and again, we'll get into more detail there in just a minute. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth to talk about our employee engagement initiative.
Good morning. Okay, as Jill mentioned, in 2025, we launched the first ever citywide employee engagement survey in partnership with CPS HR Consultants. And employee engagement, by definition, is a heightened connection between an employee and their employer. But ultimately, it measures how connected and motivated employees are feeling at work. So the survey itself ran from August 18th through September 5th. And then in October, the results of the survey were presented to employees citywide. The survey included 81 questions that measured 11 categories broken down into engagement indicators. And then we also included 4 demographic questions and then 3 open-ended questions that allowed employees to give more detailed feedback if they chose to do so. As far as our participation in the survey, we did have 711 employees that provided responses, or 68% of the people that received the survey, and that did exceed our implementation team's goal of 60%. And so we were happy with those results and excited that employees were ready and willing to give their feedback to us. The results themselves were received on a citywide basis, and so we'll talk about that in just a minute, but we did see our scores as an entire city overall. And then any department who received 10 or more responses within the department did also have a breakout of their individual department and the responses that were open-ended as well. So here in front of you, you can see our engagement scores. And so the city of Fargo is the graph on the far right. And so you can see that 18% of our employees indicated that they were fully engaged. And as you see, it is lower than the benchmark indicators for local government, government as a whole, and then private sector as well. But then we were a little bit ahead in the gray area, who are the employees who indicated that they were somewhat engaged at work. And so between the two, we ended with a total of about 69% of employees who were at least somewhat engaged at work. That is a little bit behind the benchmark still. The local government benchmark ended at 73%. So we definitely, as we are action planning, will have some goals ahead of us and some work to do. But overall, we were really happy to get these results and see where people were at. In terms of our next steps and how we continue the momentum for the employee engagement survey, a couple of months ago, we did provide some toolkits for management teams that will assist them in their action planning for their individual departments. And we've asked them to departmentally develop their own action plan based on both their low engagement indicators and also their high engagement indicators in their results. And then they will review those plans regularly with both city administration and HR to make sure that there is continued momentum and also that their plans are aligning with the overarching city engagement plan as well. Last week, the HR team began Train the Trainer sessions so that we can begin to facilitate employee discussion groups. And so in the remainder of this quarter, we will be starting the citywide employee discussion groups. And we're really looking to invite all employees to come and participate in those groups. We're looking for a cross-section of employees throughout the various departments within the cities and just want to start to get more qualitative information for the numbers that you saw in front of you so that we can really use that feedback to inform the action planning that is going to be occurring. And then with that feedback, along with the engagement indicators, we will begin to develop a citywide action plan. And again, then be asking departmental leadership teams to also have similar discussion groups and begin to develop their departmental plans. As far as the timeline goes, you can see in front of you, we are well into the first quarter. And so just completed the Train the Trainer sessions, and we'll begin holding the employee discussion groups, hopefully yet this quarter, but possibly into the beginning of the next quarter as well. We will also be holding some leadership team discussion groups, and so the cabinet group, and then within each individual department, we're asking leadership teams to have some discussion groups too, to talk about the results and what their thoughts are on those results. And then beginning quarter two into the end of quarter two is where the real action planning development and implementation will begin. And then for the remainder of the year, continued departmental meetings that discuss the initiative and results that are coming from it or actions that are being taken based on the action plan. We'll continue bi-monthly meetings between leadership teams, HR, and city admin to discuss the progress on the plans. And then ongoing, just regular communication with our employees on the initiative. Again, what actions are being taken, any results that we're seeing, and then what forthcoming steps will be. Tentatively in 2027, we are hoping to do a follow-up survey, but those dates are to be determined yet at this time. Do you have any questions about employee engagement? Okay.
No, I think we appreciate the overview. Thank you.
All right. I'm also going to tell you about another initiative that was implemented earlier this year called Perform. And this kind of goes hand in hand with our employee engagement action planning. But Perform is a new enhanced way of managing employees' performance. And it's powered by a company called NeoGov, which we also use for our applicant tracking system and our onboarding. And so that has been a good connection between those other two platforms. But we did launch Perform in April of 2025. And with that launch, there were a few larger changes that we made in terms of how we were handling performance management. And so previously, each department was handling employee reviews in the way that worked well for their department, but it was inconsistent. And so there were different templates, there were different time frames, there were just a lot of different ways that people were handling them. And so we developed a consistent template to be used across the city of Fargo, and then with the option of added departmental additions to the template if there were specific things that needed to be addressed from a department level. One thing that we learned in the development phase of this is that there was a strong desire to move away from a rating system with employee reviews. And so where historically we had done, a 1, 2, 3, 4 score, something like that, we were learning that the focus then became on the score and not the feedback that people were receiving. And we really wanted to flip that so that people were hearing the feedback and not getting so focused on whether they got a 3 or a 4 or 2 when they thought they should have had something else. So we did do away with any kind of numerical rating. And then we also moved away from the language of an employee review, and we're calling it an employee check-in. And so again, just with that idea in mind that the focus really should be the conversation between the employee and their supervisor and the feedback that really we want to go in both directions. And so the check-in language just kind of fit the direction that we were trying to go in there. We are also asking people to do one stay interview annually. And so a stay interview is designed more to talk about any aspects of somebody's job, position, work that would cause them to want to leave the city of Fargo, or what things about their employment make them want to stay with the city of Fargo. And then the employee and the supervisor develop a stay plan from there to help enhance the things that make an employee want to stay, and to try to address the things that might drive an employee to leave employment. But again, really the idea behind the switch was that we want the focus to be on open, honest dialogue between an employee and their supervisor, and give everybody that opportunity to have that moment to share that feedback that might be hard to share on a one-off situation if you're not given the platform to do that. So we just completed the first year of the check-in process, and we're still learning right along with all of our departments, but for the most part, things have been going well, and we continue to make enhancements and tweaks here and there as we learn what is and is not working for everybody that's using the system. So, do you have any questions on Perform?
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah.
So if it's not ratings-based, is it all narrative-based then?
Yeah, and so there is an opportunity for, the way that the process works is the supervisor goes in and pulls in goals for the employee from the prior year that they want to discuss. And then from there, it kicks over to the employee, and the employee reviews all of the discussion criteria, and they will provide their own input on those things. When they're done and they submit, it goes over to the supervisor. The supervisor sees the exact same discussion criteria, but they can also see what the employee had responded with, and then can provide their own responses right in the document themselves. And then what we're really asking people to do is to kind of use that document as a prompt for the conversation, but to really make that conversation piece the most important part of the process. The document would be the piece that's memorialized, but there is the opportunity if, you know, there's something that should be documented from the conversation, supervisors and employees can go back into the document and edit and add comments. There's also an opportunity to put notes in throughout the year, and so they could go back into after the conversation, and we talked about this and we want to continue to work on this, and that wasn't documented in the check-in template.
So one last question. Is this being used for all departments, even safety?
Yes, all departments have used this template. Because it's new, we're all figuring it out, but that really is the expectation, is that every department would use the same template. If we need to add the departmental addendums, we would do that, but the bulk of the template will be the same for everybody, and we really do want them all using it.
Right, thank you.
I do just have a couple of questions as well. The employee check-ins done annually, based on an employee's hire date, or are they all done at one period during the year?
Yeah, good question. The way that we've set it up right now, just because there is so much to consider logistically within each individual department, is we have the check-ins signed at the check-ins and stay interviews assigned at the beginning of the year for all employees, but supervisors have until the end of that year to conduct the review or the check-in and the stay interview. And so they kind of pick and choose when that's going to occur based on what works best within the department. As I'm sure you know, we have some departments that are incredibly busy during the summer, and so if we were trying to tell them to do July check-in dates, that just isn't going to work for them operationally.
Would you say the stay interviews are done, 4 months after an annual check-in, or is there any kind of criteria or expectation there? Just curious.
We don't have a real expectation. Kind of a general rule of thumb would be about 6 months apart. So one at some point in the year, the other one about at that halfway point. But again, it really goes back to operations and when people are able to complete each of those items.
I'm just going to check in with Kelsey and Barb to see if they had any questions.
This is Kelsey. No questions at this time.
Thank you.
This is Barb. No questions at this time.
Right, I just want to make sure that you knew we didn't forget about you out there. All right,
It's hard to be online when everybody else is in the room.
that's all right. All right, thank you.
All right, well, I'm going to ask Amy Rissman, one of our HR managers, to come up and talk about some new employee onboarding that's occurred very recently. And I'm Emily Adams as well. She's one of our HR generalists.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Amy Rissman, as Beth mentioned, one of the HR managers here. I started with the City of Fargo in September of 2025, so just over 5 months here.
I'll introduce myself. So I'm Emily Adams, HR generalist. I started in October, so almost 4 months here.
All right, well, we'll get started. So on December 21st of 2025, the City of Fargo's Transit Department ended its staffing contract with TransDev and onboarded 87 employees to the department. These jobs included bus drivers, supervisors, and trainers. The positions support the city's bus system, known as MATBus, which provides about 1.2 million rides every year. Prior to onboarding, these positions were posted, giving TransDev employees the opportunity to apply for and interview for the various job roles available with the Transit and MATBus department. The positions required a commercial driver's license and all of the compliance requirements that go along with it. HR and transit leaders conducted job interviews, and after the job offers were made and accepted, much collaboration was required between HR department, Fargo Cass Public Health, Essentia, the finance department, and the transit leadership team for completing the pre-employment requirements. With the TransDev contract ending on December 21st of 25, all 87 employees needed to be in the City of Fargo's system, so ride services were not disrupted to area residents. Along with the license verifications and employment eligibility, the driver's personal information needed to be verified in person and entered into the City of Fargo's payroll and HR information systems. This was all done on-site by HR during the holiday week with heavy support from the transit staff. Normally, new hires do most of their pre-employment and onboarding paperwork electronically through software, and then along with HR oversight and audit. In this case, it wasn't possible and resulted in the need for hands-on support by the HR department and transit leadership to the new hires at the Transit MATBus site. After the paperwork was collected and audited, new hire entry was done by the HR department. Normally, it takes about 30 minutes to enter one new employee into all HR systems, and our team accomplished that while completing other end-of-year processing activities during the last 2 weeks in December. So this was for, all 87 new hires. After the onboarding was completed, there was a need to conduct benefit orientations and enrollments for all of these hires. So during the first 2 weeks in January, our team conducted those new hire benefit orientations. Since then, the transit leadership team and HR have adapted internal processes and training for new supervisors to optimize positive employee relations. That's really the focus, is positive employee relations at this point. Process improvement for HR-related support continues, where HR partners with transit leadership to maintain the positive employee relations so the City of Fargo can continue to provide transportation to its area residents. With that, are there any questions?
Not hearing any, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Camilla Van Dyke. I have been with the City of Fargo for almost 5 years now. I'm an HR manager, and compensation and payroll are my focus areas. So I'll be giving you an update on our software upgrades, which is very exciting when we get there. Currently, we are underway with our timekeeping migration, and we also are implementing an enterprise ERP software to replace our finance and HIRS current softwares. Our ERP process, the RFP started early in 2023. There has been a big collaboration between our IS, HR, and finance team since the beginning to select a software. The selection for the ERP was Tyler Technology. They primarily serve government and public schools. And then the city has been with UKG as the timekeeping system for a very long time. So the timekeeping is, we are staying with UKG and just merging into their new platform. So timekeeping, originally the city implemented UKG way back in 2024. I think Jill might have been the only one here at that time. Currently, the end of life for the system will be March of 2027. So we could continue to utilize it. However, they would no longer be serving or making any updates. Most of city employees are currently in UKG right now, except for the police department and the Fargo Dome. With the transition and the migration into workforce management pro, those departments will also be coming on board with WFM. And then all of our employees will be in the same timekeeping system, which is very exciting. For our department, again, for finance and HR, so all of us are in one platform and we are not having to communicate that information from multiple systems into payroll. The plan right now is to go live with that migration in June of 2026. As I mentioned, IS, our finance, and a few of us in HR are heavily involved into that migration. Training for our department and other departments will come along the way. So the goal is to bring all of our city departments into just a single unified system so we can enhance efficiencies and also just have greater accuracy, especially when we are looking at employees' paychecks and their benefits and everything that goes with it. So that is in the UKG piece of software update. The HRIS, currently we use Central Square. I'm going to show you a picture of what that looks like here shortly. The city has been with Central Square for probably 30 plus years, so it is time for an upgrade. As I mentioned, Tyler Tech it is the software that we are implementing. Implementation started early in 2024. There are 2 phases to that process. Finance is phase 1, so all the financials have to be implemented first, so the HR side can come after, and payroll. HR and payroll goes together in Tyler. Finance is scheduled to go live hopefully by the end of the year. We will be the first city to go in their 2025 version with the finance side. So with exciting, being the first ones, there's also some challenges that come along with it in development, but Tyler Tech has been heavily involved, their technology and their development team, in the implementation with the finance department. So in February of 24, our HR team had to just kind of put a pause into our implementation so finance can go fully live. And we are going to resume the HRM side in January of 27 after payroll and year end. A goal for our, there's a lot of different benefits that goes with implementing a new software along with the challenges and all of the learning, but we really needed to modernize our system. As Amy was mentioning earlier, it takes 30 minutes to add a new employee because we have 3 or 4 different places that we have to enter their information repetitively. So just adding efficiencies, more automation, providing real-time data in analytics will also be great for our departments and other departments, just that real-time data of recruitment and retention and budget will be great. So we are hoping that beginning of 2028, we will be in that new software. And then here is where we are at. So on the left-hand side, you see what our green screen looks like. You can change the colors. That's kind of the exciting piece there. If you'd like for it to be purple, you can change that. So that's what we are currently utilizing. And then on the right-hand side is the new, just a very quick view of what Tyler ERP looks like. So we get real-time, again, data when an employee leaves and that position becomes vacant. We are able to see that right away. The departments will be able to see that right away. So information will be readily available for all of us. So do you have any questions?
Just a comment, the Central Square, that does look like it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, or a little more. We're not counting anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, having gone through something on a much, much smaller scale, and maybe you've done it on a larger scale with the school, but wish you all the best,
Yeah,
for
thank you.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. My name is Melissa Lura. I am one of the HR managers here. Like Camilla, I have been in my role, it'll be 5 years this summer as well.
I'm Ashley Swanson. I'm currently an HR generalist, transitioning to HR manager, and I have been here for 5.5 years.
So Ashley and I work pretty closely in terms of the benefits that we offer for our employees. And so this morning, we're just going to touch base briefly, high-level overview on our health insurance changes over the last couple of years, kind of where we've been and where we are currently, because that is probably the main benefit that has seen the most changes. So to give you just a basic background, our health insurance provider is Blue Cross Blue Shield, and for many years, we have traditionally only had one plan option for our employees to choose from. It's a traditional deductible style plan with a copay structure. We refer to this plan as our Blue Access plan. It is a plan that is offered only to government employees. It's kind of our, I don't know what I call it, our gold standard plan, but it's the highest cost plan, but also offers the highest coverage as well. The plans historically have only had 2 tiers to choose from. So we had employee-only coverage and we had family coverage. So for those employees that had maybe just employee plus spouse or employee plus children, they would have to choose that family option. So over the last couple of years, we've been hearing from our employees that there is a desire to add a high deductible health plan along with an HSA. So in October of 2024, we rolled out just a very informal survey to our staff. We had 337 employees respond, of which 73% indicated that they wanted choice when it came to their medical plan options. Almost 80% indicated a desire for additional tiers. And so looking at those results, we could see that there was a strong desire for employees to have more flexibility in regards to when they're selecting their medical plans. So starting January 1 of 2025, we rolled out our first high deductible health plan with an HSA, still administered through Blue Cross. The HSA was administered through WEX, and we refer to that as our Blue Saver plan. We also rolled out an additional tier of coverage. So we added the employee plus children to kind of provide that middle tier option that some of our staff had been asking for. That year, we had 867 employees enrolled in our health plans, of which 21 of those employees had made the switch to the high deductible plan with the HSA. So continuing along that theme of offering choice, starting of January 1 of 2026, we added 2 more additional health plans that our employees could choose from. These additional plans mirror our current plans. And so the only difference between them is the network. It's a much more limited network. It is an Essentia only network. And so that limited network provided cost savings and more flexibility for both the employer and the employee when they are choosing their plan options. But the plan designs themselves still remain the traditional, the Blue Access plan with the copay structure or the high deductible with an HSA. The cost savings that were associated with that allowed us to also start an employer contribution into those HSA accounts as well. And so if an employee was enrolled in single coverage, we are contributing an additional $20 a month into their HSA. If they elected family coverage, they're receiving $40. So starting January 1 of this year, we had 925 employees enroll in our health plan. Obviously, that increase was due to the onboarding of the additional transit department, of which you can see, though, we did have additional numbers move over to our high deductible health plan, with 41 choosing the Blue Saver plan and 17 choosing the Dakota Blue Essentia Network HSA plan. Obviously, you still see, though, that a large number of our employees prefer that Blue Access plan with 834 employees staying on that. So for 2027, obviously I don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict what is going to happen, but a couple of things that we will continue to do. First, we're going to monitor our plan utilization and our renewal rates. So we meet with Blue Cross periodically throughout the year to see where we are trending in terms of our claims, what are our high dollar cost claims, what are some of the programs that we can implement along with our health plan to address some of those things, such as Amada and Learn to Live and other wellness options. We're going to continue to work with Blue Cross to promote those as a benefit for our employees. We also want to make sure that we are maintaining a comprehensive coverage for our employees and that our plans reflect what it is that our employees need in terms of their coverage desires, also while staying within any budgetary guidelines that we may encounter. We also want to make sure that our medical plan costs stay in line with our compensation strategy, and so that any increases to premiums, renewal increases, things like that, that they stay in line with things like our COLA increases or our step increases as well, so that there's no disconnect there between the two. And then lastly, we're going to continuously ask for employee feedback. We want to know from them what is going well, what is not going well, whether that be through another formal survey or whether that just be through informal conversations, maybe a phone call, just random feedback that we receive. We want to continue to have those conversations, and we want to hear from them as to what they are seeing in regards to their medical plans. And then also we want to participate in any external surveys and things like that that come out as well, so that we can keep a pulse on what's happening in the market and our competitors as well in terms of benefits, because we understand that benefits packages play a key role in why employees come to work for you or why they may go somewhere else. And so we just want to make sure that we are remaining to be competitive in those areas as well. So, any questions on the health plans?
What strategies did you guys use to educate staff on the different plan options? Because you haven't had a lot of takers go over to the different plans, because change is hard, of course.
It is hard. So every year we do a benefit fair for all our employees. It is a large event. I think we have over 200 employees come. We do it at the Fargo Dome. It's for half a day. We do that as a kickoff to our open enrollment. And so part of that benefit fair is inviting all of our vendors to come. So Blue Cross or Superior Vision, our retirement, all of those come, and it's a fair style so employees can talk to those providers that are interested in what that is that they're looking for. But we also offer, at the fair, we offer additional, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank.
Breakout sessions.
Breakout sessions. I'm like, what are they called? Breakout sessions, where Blue Cross and WEX for the last 2 years have come to give presentations on the new health plans, what is changing every year, maybe prescription drug coverage changes or different things like that, the benefits of an HSA, the investment options. I think initially the numbers were low on the HSA because the premiums themselves was not significantly different for employees to have that higher deductible exposure. However, this year, with adding in the Dakota Blue and that Essential Only network offered more premium flexibility for employees, and so we did see some additional changes over there, maybe not as great as we would like to, but that's something that we'll continue to look at, so.
We also record those breakout sessions, and they are posted for employees that didn't come to the fair to watch it at a later date.
So you guys responded to the feedback that you got from staff, right? And gave more options.
Yep.
Was that reflected in the employee engagement survey, that you had received that feedback and offered more options to staff? Because I think you did exactly what was asked of you, right? You got feedback and then you offered more options. So just wondering if people are seeing that.
I think people do see that, but maybe not to the extent that they would like, right? So pay and benefits were both kind of key topics that came to the, kind of the top of the list with our engagement survey as well. We understand from our consultant that that's pretty common. So I do think there's a recognition, and, we see that we have more members moving in that direction of the high deductible. But as Melissa said, there's more work to be done there, and considering aligning the premiums between the plans, the city's contribution to to those plans could be increased if the budget allows in 2027. So there are a lot of strategies that we need to look at that I think will become even more apparent to our employees. At the time of the engagement survey, we had not yet launched all of those other options that became available for the 2026 plan year, just timing. We didn't have our enrollment scheduled yet. So, that's likely a factor too. But as Melissa said, it's such a crucial part of recruiting and retention that it's something we're going to continuously look at.
Thank you.
I think too, when we were designing the engagement survey, we really followed the lead of CPSHR. And so while there were questions dedicated to pay and benefits, it didn't specifically address the changes that we had made. And so that is something going forward, I think, that will be more involved in employee engagement activities and follow-up surveys, is to address some of those more specific actions that we've taken.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, you get me instead of Ryan today. He prepared a couple of slides, though, on our safety and EHS insight. So just a little bit of background. We have been using a system called Vector EHS for a number of years, and it served its purpose and at the time, but it wasn't meeting really all of our needs. It was just a much more kind of simplistic tracking system that didn't allow for rolling up data to the extent that we really need with the size of organization that we are and the positions that we have. So Ryan started working with us last year, and he had worked with EHS Insight with his previous employer and felt that it was a very good system, so went through the process of reviewing and gathering quotes, and EHS rose to the top of the list, and it worked well that he had that familiarity to really implement the system really pretty quickly at the end of the year for January of '26. So this just shows you, and unfortunately, we don't have the visual like Camilla had of the before and the after, but it's not quite as dramatic, but it's a very different picture. So this just shows you an idea of the nature of injuries and the idea of being able to just look at dashboards and have this available to our department leadership teams and our safety committees that we have throughout the city. And so as you can see, our strains and sprains continue to be our largest areas of injuries. This is a citywide view, but the nice thing is this can be run at the department level as well. And so, for example, for the police department, obviously a very physically demanding job, we're able to break this down too and look at the data, look at the trends to help implement more preventative measures and just awareness in general. And then the next slide is, again, just a screenshot showing EHS insight and the ability, again, from a dashboard graph perspective, to see what body part the injury occurred to as well. And again, this all just plays a key role in having that, information at your fingertips, real time, being able to see what types of injuries and how those injuries are occurring, and that helps Ryan to really work closely then with the department leadership team and department members and those safety committee members to really talk through and plan how we can prevent these injuries in the future. Any questions on safety or EHS insight? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mike to talk about our training program.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mike Mitchell. I am the training coordinator for the City of Fargo. Just a brief history. I've been in this role for about 10 years. I'm the first training coordinator we've had for the city. Jill was real instrumental in getting my position approved with the help of administration, and kind of the role that I served initially was to consolidate and kind of standardize training for all city employees. Prior to my position, it was kind of a mishmash of training. We may have been recording it, we may not have been, and anyone in the training world knows that if it's not recorded somewhere, it really didn't happen. So that was kind of one of my first initial goals when I became the training coordinator. And as a result of that, we developed Launchpad, which is our learning management system, which is the first bullet I'm going to talk about. We currently have 1,200 of our city employees as users in Launchpad, which is our LMS. We use this quite extensively to distribute training, record training, schedule events. So anything training related basically is something, we touch Launchpad with just about every training that happens in the city. Whether it's just recording that they attended and how many hours they were in the training, or we can actually send out different training initiatives through our Launchpad system. So we currently have some training that goes out annually, might be in sexual harassment, could be in some diversity type topics. Last year we sent out training in leadership, which is obviously a critical training for our city staff to have access to. So that's probably our biggest way that we distribute training to our city staff. I also will coordinate different training initiatives, in-person type opportunities for city employees to attend. The roles that I'm involved in quite extensively is our tuition reimbursement program. The city is fortunate to have a program where we let city employees enter the program and can get reimbursed or repaid for a portion of their tuition. Currently, our budget is not huge. It's $21,500 for all city employees. But we have that available to people that want to go get their bachelor's degree, their associate's degree, tech school. Even had a doctorate student last year involved in it. So it is nice. City employees can get up to $2,000 per calendar year. And I know that if we've been to college recently, we know that does not go very far towards tuition, but I always tell people it's better than a punch in the stomach. So at least they're getting something out of it. We also have a partnership that we developed last year with UMary. And part of the partnership is if people want to go back and attain a higher level of education, we have a scholarship opportunity with UMary. So they can go back and it's $400 per semester that UMary will give them towards their tuition. So we are doing things to really encourage our employees to become lifelong learners and continue that education process. We also have a leadership initiative that we've had over several years. We kind of lost a little traction with it, but this upcoming year we're really going to reintroduce that to our city leadership teams. Currently we have about 54 new leaders that have not had any standardized or kind of consolidated training. So we are going to send them to training in 2026. And UMary, again, being that we have a partnership with them, is going to be our lead on the training for that. And they have leadership training that they call Leading with Influence and Greatness. I have not yet attended it, so I'm anxious to see the content. But we are going to reinitiate our leadership training going forward in 2026. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to speak on is we really value mental health, whether it is our employees' mental health or police and fire and other city departments do face the reality of having to interact with people that might be struggling with mental health. So we really take that topic very seriously, and in 2026 we have 2 topics that we're going to be having classes on for city employees, kind of an open enrollment thing if they want to attend. And the first one is mental health first aid. I've gotten a lot of requests over the years from employees to have mental health first aid courses come in. It's a national program. And we're fortunate enough to have a health department member that attended the training, so she can actually present this material now to our staff. And then the next class that we're going to bring in it's called Breaking the Stigma of Mental Health. And that is another course that we're going to offer to City of Fargo employees. So we do a lot of things in training. Those are the kind of the high topics that we do or we hope to accomplish here in 2026. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question and a comment. My comment is I've gone through the mental health first aid training twice in my career, I guess. Very good. It's very good, but very easy to understand and to think about day-to-day real-life situations. So I'm glad to see that coming into the city. The bullet, uncomfortable conversation, you didn't mention that, but is there a curriculum that you're using for that? I'm just curious for my own personal knowledge.
I did skip over that one, didn't I? So much for my PowerPoint and my bullet points, right? We purchase content through for our LMS through a company out on the West Coast. Media Partners is the name of the company. They changed their name to Atana, but they provide us with SCORM course material, and we can put that on our LMS and send that out to our staff. So that's what that uncomfortable conversation material is. We felt that was important last year in this, since we just started the performance management. Because now, just to be 100% transparent, we did have departments that weren't conducting any sit-downs with their employees. So, and we know by doing those that there's going to have those uncomfortable moments. So we felt that giving them some information or some training in that uncomfortable conversation topic was critical.
What of these trainings are required versus the employees just get to enroll if they desire?
We don't like that term, mandatory. That's a terrible term in training, but we do it every year. Typically that's done through the LMS. Every year we have mandatory cybersecurity training that we have our staff do, and then we'll send something out that's mandatory through our LMS. And typically that's in like diversity, inclusion, harassment type training. So most of what I put on is open enrollment, I call it, so people can attend. And we have, depending on the topic, we'll have more interest than others. I do work also with each department on more department-directed training. For instance, the health department really, they need CPR AED training on a continuous basis, so I'll work with them. The library has their own challenges with de-escalation, so we'll do some training specific to the library for that. But most of our training is not mandatory, it's kind of voluntary. And we have better luck, Scott, you attended the the course on mental health first aid, that's a long course. It seems like when I have a longer full-day course, attendance kind of isn't, we don't have the attendance we kind of hope for sometimes, simply because someone can't leave their job for a full day to attend.
Has there been a topic that's been most popular?
Over the past few years, I'd say probably our most popular topics, we had a big initiative for workforce safety. So we had kind of a active or violent intruder training courses that we had a lot of interest in. Given the kind of the dynamic of society right now, we can never be too careful, so that got a lot of interest. The CPR, that fills up every time. Defensive driver training, a lot of department heads really want their staff to attend defensive driver training, especially in those areas where they drive heavy equipment. So those are heavily attended as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelsey, I'm just going to pause. Ann reminded me. Kelsey, Barb, any questions for anybody that's presented updates?
This is Kelsey, and I'm good over here, just following along as this is my first meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm good too. No questions. Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you all for letting us showcase what we have been working on. And I just want to say thank you to the team again for putting together this information. Hopefully you can see why I'm really proud to lead this great group of talented people and a lot of really good things happening every day. So thank you all again. And I am going to be seated for the policy discussion.
All right. As Jill just let us into, the next agenda item is, under other business, is going to review the revised drafts of Civil Service Policies 200-003 and 300-008A.
Thank you. I am going to pull up the policies, so please bear with me for just a second. Okay, and we do have copies at the dais for the commissioners in attendance today. I did send these copies out to the full Civil Service Commission last week, so if you're on only by phone, hopefully you are able to follow along with the discussion with the electronic copy that was sent out. I also want to just check and make sure that our City Attorney Nancy Morris, are you still on with us, Nancy?
I am.
Okay,
I am,
great.
yes, I am.
Great. So in working with the civil service policies, Beth and I worked very closely with Nancy to review and make some revisions to really update to current practice. When we met last, we talked about the disciplinary appeal hearing policy, but at that time we had not yet made revisions to the overall Civil Service Commission policy, 200-003. So I would like to start with that one and would invite Nancy and Beth, having been a part of the work group on these revisions, please jump in as well. I just want to highlight a few of the changes that were made. And again, primarily, really, it was to add clarifying language. In that first paragraph of, again, the Civil Service Commission policy, the primary change there was really to change the verbiage from holding a meeting monthly. As you all know, we're not having regular appeal hearings. And so the verbiage was changed to reserves the second Tuesday of each month for appeal hearings, and then may schedule special meetings as the need arises. Under the duties and responsibilities, again, this primarily just is updated to really reflect the current responsibilities of the Civil Service Commission. I should have mentioned at the start that you have copies both of the revised policy, and that's the one printed in color that says February of '26, and then the one that's printed just black and white, March of 2000 is the current policy if you're wanting to make any comparisons. But at the time that the current policy was enacted back in 2000, the HR department was a much, much smaller team than what we are today. And so the civil service at that time, as you can see in the current policy, was assisting with reviewing job descriptions and other areas of responsibility that really have been assumed now by the HR team. So that area, again, just really clarifies the current role for the civil service. On the second page, just a couple of changes I want to highlight is clarifying who is covered under the civil service and who are the exceptions, so the non-covered. And in number 3, thank you, Beth. In number 3, you can see the employees who have not been in continuous employment of the city for a period of more than 1 year, or have not completed their probationary period. And that was the piece that was added to that sentence to, again, clarify that on occasion, we do extend probationary period if that employee is not meeting their performance expectations. And so in those events, it also then extends the civil service eligibility because they're still considered probationary until they're ultimately released off of that probationary period. And Nancy, that was a recommendation to clarify that you had. Is there anything else you would add to that?
No, I think that's accurate. It will require an ordinance change. At this time, the ordinance indicates employees who have not satisfactorily completed a probationary period. The change to the covered employees is more descriptive and talks about that year time. And then also there is a change regarding your number 4 as well.
Yes, so 4 and 5, again, were just really updated to clarify who fits into that temporary and seasonal role, whether they're full-time, part-time, or variable, if it's a temporary position or a seasonal, that they are non-covered. And then the contract employees, these are separate from independent contractors, right? These are our occasional employees that we hire under a contract to do specific work or sometimes grant funded for a very specific time period. So again, just added the clarifying language there so that there was a good understanding of when we refer to contract employee, what we're referring to there. Are there any questions or further comments on the Civil Service Commission policy?
Jill, do you want a motion brought forward for each policy separate or together?
I think you could for them together.
Okay, that's fine. We'll
Unless
do-
there are more significant changes if you feel that we need separate.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Is the goal to have a motion to forward them to the city commission for approval, or what is the action you're seeking?
Yes, so our chair today has will be calling for a motion, and that's for us to continue the approval process. So there are other steps as well before it will get to city commission. We'll have our cabinet group review. We're having civil service review today, so that will be taken care of. We usually post our policies for 2 weeks for our employees to be able to review and ask any questions, make any suggestions that they might have as well. And then we'll advance to the City Commission. Because these policy revisions, we're changing some language that is currently in city ordinance as well. So we'll be working with the city attorney's office, with Nancy, to advance the policy revisions to the commission at the same time that those ordinance changes are being advanced as well. Okay, then looking at the Civil Service Commission disciplinary action appeal hearing procedure, just want to highlight a couple of things on this one. Thank you, Beth. This was reviewed at our last meeting, so not real significant changes since that time, but again, we have new members and just want to refresh because it has been some time. So on this policy in particular, we really just wanted to clarify in that second paragraph the role of the Civil Service Commission. So the new verbiage is to consider whether or not the employer decision was factually supported and the reasons were not motivated by political or other improper considerations. In section 1A and point 1 underneath, we really just there added a reference to the employment definitions. This is where we really clearly within the employment definition policy outline who is, or which positions I should say, are covered under civil service and which are not. So this is just another reference point to clarify covered positions versus non. Again, continued the language so that it's clear that in order to appeal to the Civil Service Commission, the employee discipline needs to be at the level of suspension or removal, termination, or someone who's demoted or discharged for cause. So other are verbal warnings, are written warnings, those are not appealable to the civil service. Starting in the second paragraph under the employee section, again, really primarily clarifying language on how we will give notice of the disciplinary action to the employee. Not all employee meetings occur in person, that's our goal, but at times if we've had someone on, for example, an administrative leave, they may choose to not come back and meet with us in person. So that might be a phone conversation, or if we're unable to make contact, it might be providing that written information through the mail. And so we really wanted to clarify that we'll send certified. We want to, make certain that the person has received it, but we also know that can take longer for individuals to receive certified mail. So that we're going to make every attempt to get to them. We'll send it regular mail. If we have personal email, we'll send a copy that way as well to just ensure we're getting that to them as quickly as possible. Again, ideally, we're meeting with them in person and they're receiving it right at that moment, but it just does not always happen that way, so this provides the other options and then really defines when we consider that employee to be deemed having received their notice that starts their timeline to appeal to the Civil Service Commission. On that next page, we increased the timeline there for setting that date to 7 days, but not more than 30 days. Realistically, it would be very difficult for the employee and their representative or for the city to be prepared for a hearing more quickly than that, 7 days. So that's the reason for that increase. I'm going to jump down now to section B under the employer section. And again, in number 2, That timeframe was increased. It was 3 calendar days. Again, we didn't feel that gives sufficient time for preparation, so we have shifted that to 5 business days prior to the hearing. And then in section C, that is clarifying that neither party has the ability to compel testimony nor engaging questions with the other party's witness. So again, just clarifying language, not a change, but just clarifying. In section D, Anne Marie and I had a conversation yesterday about clarifying the timeline as to when the Civil Service Commission would receive the packet of information prior to the hearing. So this was a really good point. You'll see in the document the additional verbiage under D. So the HR office will distribute all materials to the Civil Service Commission no less than 4 days prior to the hearing. So that allows more time for civil service commissioners to read through what can be volumes of information, but also because we are receiving that information from the employee and the department head or whoever is on the, working on the city's response 5 days ahead of the hearing, it ensures that we are getting that information out within that 24-hour window to you all as commissioners. So it's a 5 days prior to the hearing that we expect the information to be to us in HR, and then within 4 days, we'll get it distributed to you all for you to begin your review. I just want to highlight under the hearing procedures, not really significant changes, but again, clarifying language for how our hearings have been occurring. If you look at section D or item D, that we have the employee in C giving their opening statement, and then D recognizes that the commission may have questions right away for the employee and or their witness, and then the appointing authority provides testimony. And then in F, again, the commission may have questions right at that time for the appointing authority. And then the final statements really includes the ability for the employee or their representative to provide a final statement. In one of our last hearings, that became a question when it was final statement time, where the representative was unsure if they were giving that or the employee. This really allows for either or. Not all employees have representation, and so ideally we want to hear from them as well. But if they feel that it's important for their representative to provide those final statements, this just clarifies that that is an option for them too. And then, of course, the commission may have additional questions at that point, so we inserted that opportunity as well, and then for deliberation to occur. The civil service findings and conclusions was really part of the current policy, but where it ended then was at the city commission appeal. And this information was added after we first reviewed this policy with the Civil Service Commission, again, to just capture how we are handling when an employee has gone through an appeal hearing with the civil service and does not agree with the findings, wants to further appeal to the city commission. And it really, the process is very similar to that of appealing to the Civil Service Commission. They have 10 days from the date of the determination to appeal, and they would send that to us in HR, again, just clarifying what we consider that deadline and how we count those days. And then we have up to the 30 days to schedule that hearing. no less than 3, but up to 30. We did leave the 3 there because technically all the materials have been, they've been prepared, and really the commission appeal ends up being kind of a repeat of the civil service hearing as well. So there's time for preparation if we're able to meet within that 3 to 30-day window. And then the findings and conclusions, again, just formalizing that process for how the city commission then formally in writing informs that employee of the results of the hearing that occurred before them. So those are the most significant changes. Are there any questions or comments?
Barb or Kelsey, do you have any questions? Just want to make sure.
Good over here, thank you.
All right.
Nancy or Beth, do you have anything to add to the highlighted material?
Can I just make a comment? I think that there's been a lot of good work done on these policies. Since we looked at them at the last meeting, I think they're really in a good spot and add just a lot of clarification, which was needed, especially after we did our last hearing. We just needed a little bit more clarity on how they will go and for both the employee and the appointing authority and for the commission. So I think that these are in a good spot to continue on and move through the process. So thank you. And thank you for adding that, just again, that specificity on when it would come to the Civil Service Commission, because I think that just rounds out that policy and then have it be ready to go.
Great, thank you.
All right. I would ask if there is a motion.
Can I just make one additional comment? This is Nancy.
Yes.
My comment is that if the employee does not wish to appeal to the city commission, and that time expires, the decision will be final, and that will be presented for final approval to the city commission. I just wanted to make that clarification, just so we know that the employee does not have to appeal, and then that the Civil Service Commission finding will be final.
Thank you, Nancy. Now I would ask if there's a motion to advance the policy revisions as presented through the normal policy review and approval process.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Worth,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Roseth,
Aye.
Ransom,
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the commission today? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second it. Do we do a vote on that? Nope, okay. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.